Good morning, everybody. It's David here. David R. Becker from McHenry. So here we go. I think this is week 7 that we've been doing these workshops and little classrooms in the morning. Usually I would have a class this morning, but hopefully all you guys are out there painting with me. My Saturday class, hopefully my Thursday class too. But we're going to get started really quick here today. I want to get this done fast so you guys can sit there and paint. If anybody saw my newsletter this week, I was talking about the speed of which I paint. If you saw that, don't worry about the amount of time it takes me to do these paintings. Go ahead and just paint at your own speed. And you go back to the video if you'd like, and you can just record it. It is recorded, and you can just go back and look at it again. Helps you out. I'll be looking at, I have the screen in front of me, so if you ask some questions, I will be able to probably hopefully answer those. If I don't answer them while I'm painting, just go ahead and leave them there, and I will hopefully afterwards just sign up and look and answer those questions, all right? So let's go, and I'm just going really quickly over the materials I'm using, just for anybody that's new who's never been to one of my workshops or demos, or I've never seen one of my demos. But I work with Holbein watercolors, and Holbein watercolors, I like them because they don't have oxgall in them. These are Holbein watercolors. I did clean my palette today, which I normally don't do, but I'm going to put on a rubber glove again to keep everything clean in my hands. And so Holbein paints are great. And the paper I use is Stonehenge Aqua. It comes in sheets, and it also comes in blocks like this. These are the blocks that it comes in. And it's Stonehenge. It comes from Legion Papers. It's Stonehenge Aqua cold press. You can get them in pads like this, I said. You can also get them in sheets, full sheets, and it comes in 300, 140, and again, Stonehenge Aqua. I get everything mostly online. I get everything online, like anywhere I can find it most reasonably priced. The brushes I use are also from Holbein. These are my brushes. They're synthetic gold brushes. They're actually called Holbein Golds if you want to get other of these brushes that I don't have. You can get them actually at Vermont Art Supply, which is a little store in Vermont that sells a lot of Holbein products. And I usually mostly all Holbein products. And while I'm talking here too, I want to let you know really quickly that I use this masking fluid, the Holbein masking fluid, and on this picture that we're painting today is another Greek island scene that I took. And so what you want to do is you want to take these little flowers, and I put a little bit of masquerade on where the flowers are, the little red bougainvillea I think they maybe are. Not sure, but whatever the red flower is there. So I put them down with masking fluid, and I used the Holbein masking fluid. I didn't use the pen this time. I did use they have a pen, which is nice, really nice. I use that for my name down here. Just put that down. It's a masking fluid pen. It never clogs, and it's awesome. You can get that again at Vermont Art Supply. I also taped down my paper with some Holbein. This is called soft tape. It's a very thin tape, and it's really, really nice. Actually, I really kind of like it. It looks like it's masking tape, but it's not. It's a really thin tape. It feels almost a little plasticky, but you can get that at Vermont Art Supply. All right, let's just right into that. I also have some chip brushes that I'm going to be using today for some of this foliage up there. Let's get going right away. So we can get this done with under an hour. Any questions? Let's see. I'll always look up for questions to see if I see any. All right, so I'm going to start out with my lights and darks, and I didn't do a value study per se with a pencil, which I normally do. I'm going to use, I squint my eyes at the color photo, and I see that most of this in here is light, and the flowers are going to be popping out, and the door, of course, is the brightest. That'll be my center of interest. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my lights, but if stuff is going to be white of the building here on the side wall, then I just leave it white of the paper. So I'll just leave the paper white, and so that's already done. If I want to get a little bit of this little middle tone, like a little bit darker, I'll put a little bit of wash on there first. But this is pretty much all in shadow, this area right here. So we're just going to write that right away. Get a nice big wash in there. So I'm going to start out again with just, I'll kind of tell you the colors that I'm using. This is a shell pink right here. I mix that with a little orange. That's orange, permanent orange yellow. And to dull that, I use a purple. Anytime you use different colors, like the yellow to the purples, you can get more of a gray. I'm gonna just do a little bit of a wash right here, just a little bit to get some of the light tones in there. First, you always use your color. Use the color, the light color. So you're basically coloring it first. And so going in here, and this is my, and I have to look up here to see if my hat's. Let me turn my head around. So get in the way here. Right away, put in all your lights, the colors that you want the light areas to be. You know, choose your colors as, I like to think if this is all going to be blue, blue is the big door, and so that's going to be, what's the complement of blue? Orange. So a little bit of blue and orange will go a really long way. And so the sky right away, I'm just going to put a little bit of a tint right up there of blue into the sky. I can go right into the rooftop, which is going to be darker, so that's cool. Just do that right away. And some of these shadows, which are going to be light blue, underneath this building back here, I'm just going to do that really quickly. Light. Bring that light in there. Again, this part is white of the building, so just leave it white. You don't need to touch that. The paper is white. We don't use white. We try not to use white. I do have white on my palette, but I say that for making some really cool effects. And sometimes for lines or something, if there's a line in there that's light. Or mixing it with a color to make more of a pastel-y kind of color. So there's my light blues and such, and my little bit of orange again in here, in this area. Kind of nice warm tones. Now I'm going to go right into this shadow here. It's a dark, dark color, and so it's a shadow color. I'm going to go with purple and blues. And I get the lighter part of the shadow first, and then I'll go into the other parts. So right here. Go right over anything that's darker on top. See this little bit of vines right there? That'll just go right over the top of that. So quickly. And I don't mix up here very much. I mix on my paper mostly. I try to mix up there more than here. Because the paints will mix themselves together so much better than I can do it with my brush. So if I just keep on mixing like this, you're going to make a dirty gray. You know, but if I just let them mix themselves together here, and I'm working on dry paper right now, and so I'm getting hard edges here. But once it's wet, then I can float my pigment. And of course, if you've been to any of these other videos I've done, I'm floating your pigment into the water. Float the colors into the water and let them mix themselves together. Don't worry about the green and the lights. The flowers, I got I got masking fluid. Then I put that down first so that'll mask off the area, so it'll stay light. That's why I use the masking fluid. Normally I don't like using masking fluid. I used to never use it, but now I'm kind of getting more and more into using some of the masking fluid to save your lights. This plant right there on this little bench is in the shadow, but you know what? I'm just going to hit a little bit of light over here just so that get a little interest in here. So I'll leave a little bit of that alone and leave the white of the paper again. And notice how many colors are in there. We've got all kinds of colors going there. So maybe a little color, earth tones for this this little terracotta color, and for the pot right there. And you notice I don't go around this. I go right into it so that it just all comes together as one big wash. And this is one big wash of the shadow color. This is the shadow. And it's going to dry 20% lighter, so I'm going to go in here with a little bit darker. I notice that it's pretty light because I got to make it look darker than it's actually going to be. Because it's going to dry 20% lighter, and then you may be so mad that I didn't do it dark enough. Because once it dries, once the water's gone, what happens is it lightens by 20%. So up at 20% darker, and then you'll be very, very happy later on. So now here we're going to do the sidewalk right away. I did pavers in here. I didn't have them in last night, and then I decided I was going to make more of the pavers in here. And again, that's more of a warm color, but I can float other colors in there again right away. Float colors into the washes. It's wet, and try to get this whole area done in one wash. Don't try to think that you're going to come back later on and get it again. No, get it done now. Now this door is blue, but I'm just going to Put some dark blue right in there right now, just for some of the shadowing. Going that way. We gotta ask, hey Gary, is the video frozen on your?
No.
Nope. Okay.
Must have been her wife.
Okay. We have Gary here. Gary Wigman is an artist that I paint with, and he's gonna just tell me anytime if something's going wrong with the video. But if it's frozen on your end, it's probably your connection. So here now I've got the whole shadow done, right? So I put the shadow in there. It's all nice, wet in the wet. I'm just gonna put a little bit of this in here. Now this is all going to be dark with greens and dark greens and all kinds of violets in there. And over here now we're going to get the shadow. And underneath the eave of anything, underneath the eave of this, of the little, what do you call that, awning, you want to put a little bit of orange. It's actually warm in there anyways. And anything where there's underneath an eave, you can put a little bit of orange. That's a trick that Irving Shapiro, my mentor, had taught me, is always use a little bit of orange in the eaves of things. See there, I'm just going to put a little orange in there. It'll brighten it up. It's like it's reflecting from the ground, which is the warmth, and it'll go right up into that awning in there, make it nice and warm. And then once it's wet, then you can float other colors into that. Now I'm not worried about the color of that actual shutter there. I'm just going to go in and get the shadowing now for the wall. Later on I can put in the color of the actual shutter there. I'm just going for the lighter colors. And this is, I know, is a darker color, but it's the lightest part of the shadow, so I put that in right away. I'm going to switch to a brush, one of my other brushes, and these brushes are available on BeckerArt.net if you like. I sell about 6 of them in a pack. You can buy them individually, but 6 for a pack for $60. Awesome deal. Just got to put a little bit of promoting in there. So here, oh, that's still wet, so I can't get my shadowing in there yet. That's still wet. I'll get that later. So here now, it's kind of an ugly color, so I'm just going to put a little bit of blue in there. Let it float. Let it float. While it's wet, you can do anything you want there. Here we're going to go with a little bit of a little warmth underneath the eave, even in a little thing like that. As long as there's something that's underneath. Put a little bit of orange. I use Brilliant Orange, my favorite orange. Put that right underneath there. Now, 1 second. I got to get something out of the way so I can see what I'm doing here. Okay. Next we're gonna. Uh-oh, what happened? Did I stop my video?
No. You're good.
Okay. Gary says I'm good, so I'm gonna keep on going here. So here we go with the 1 second. Make that plane of mine. There we go. All right, so now let's go right into the green. And so there's lots of ways of putting foliage into a painting. One of them, it could be, we have the ugly brush. This is an ugly brush, or it's called a funny brush. It's rubber bands. You can actually make one of these yourself. Just like rubber bands, cut them. And you can use those for making little things. You can do these bristle brushes. These bristle brushes are like, they're called chip brushes. And you can use those for just tapping down. You can use your regular brushes to tap down. And actually I've taken, there's like 3 different sizes of these chip brushes, and you can use for some of these foliage. But I actually tape 2 of them together if you're going for a big, huge painting. You just take them and do a big area. So those are some of the things I use for doing foliage. I'm just going to take my regular numbers, what I got here, 16 round at first, just to get my washes in there. And so I mix my greens with quinacridone gold and any of these blues. So see how nice a green you get with that? So right now I'm just going to tap it down, my brush, straight down, and I'll get a feel of foliage too. You know, test out your brushes when you have them on paper that maybe you didn't do a good job on, or you used the back. You have to practice with your brushes. It's good just to, and not to do a painting, but just to see what you're painting what your brush can do. So I'm making a little bit of greens, darker greens. I can scumble. Look at this. This is scumbling, where you just take the edge of your brush and just scumble it across the top of the surface. Now this paper is cold pressed, so it has a texture to it. I just started working back on some hot press type of work, and also Stonehenge also makes, the Stonehenge Aqua also makes a hot press. And there it lays on top, so you can't really do that with it. If you're using hot press, you gotta kind of make your texture a different way, because the texture of the paper doesn't sit there. See, like this, I can use the texture of the paper to make it rough, but if you're using hot press, you won't be able to do that. Now this is sort of still the lighter green yet. It's still not the darkest dark green. You can also spatter by taking your brush and hitting it against your finger and just kind of going like that. And see, I can just get a little nice flecks in there. It's kind of fun. Always like this thing. And don't worry about those other flecks, that's okay. Makes it look more like a painting than a photograph. I like paintings to look like paintings and not to be totally looking like a photograph. Here we go, really dark. Let me get some really darks in here. See right in this, and if you look right here, this area is really dark with dark greens. But that doesn't mean you just have to use the dark greens over here. You can also put like even some warm colors into the greens. A little bit of the earth tone, which is it's called light red, this terracotta or burnt orange looking color. I can put that right into the green too. And it'll warm up the green a little bit. Top of that wall. And this is all still wet, so I'm going to get some watermarks, but for this kind of foliage, that's a good thing. Yeah. And then you can see I have some colors in them that have white in them, so those colors look more pastel-like, and those are fun to use. And as long as they're wet, they still look very transparent. I use my smaller brush to get some of these smaller leaves. And this, see how now this looks really light? Before that was looking really dark because it was on against the white, but now that I'm putting a darker color on top of it, that becomes the lightest light of the dark area. So I'm actually working the dark area right now, and I'm getting in there and getting my darks, my middle tones basically. And while this is drying, I'll wait for like the vines to get those with hard edges after it's dry. Here we'll get a little bit of light here, a little light greens in here, dark greens, yellows and greens. These little foliage over here, little leaves, they're a little bit more important because they're in the front, so I'm going to take a little bit more time and draw them out. I'll change its colors here. I'm not going to always use the same color. I know in the picture they're all the same green, and you can do that, but I kind of like to have a little bit change of color of the green so that not all looks the same. Kind of put a little bit more bluish green, little warm green, dark green, light green. Scumble this a little bit. These are my middle tones, my lights that are going in here first of the greens. Later on I'll put the darker colors in there, and the darks show me details. We'll get those details in there later. Somebody asked if they can copy the picture. The picture I put on my Facebook page. If you want to see this picture, on this photo, just go on my Facebook page. I posted it yesterday. The actual photograph, the reference material. If you want to use this, go right ahead. Putting in again just my lighter colors. Now the rooftop is kind of a middle tone of the tiles, the red tiles that you see in Europe. Of course, this is the Greek islands. Went to the Greek islands a couple years ago with Dillmans, with the Robertsons. We went over to the Greek islands, did a demonstration before. Actually, last week was the Greek island too, right? So we did. I took a lot of photographs in the Greek islands. And if you want to take one on a workshop and sign up for it, hopefully by the end of June, I will have a workshop there. Let's knock on wood. Is any wood here? Hopefully we can get these workshops going again. And we'll also have one in the fall at Dillmans. Look on my website at BeckerArt.net. You can find everything I'm doing. I'm posting a painting a day of these type of works, these demonstrations. I post every day, once a day, just to show you different things. I'm also selling them. Hopefully I can keep my business open here and give you some more workshops in the near future. Now these are my middle tone to darks. Isn't that my darkest dark yet? And now I noticed that this awning here is all white in the picture, but I'm going to give it a little bit of where the top is a little bit lighter, and as it comes around, I'm going to get a little bit darker there, just a little bit. Again, this is more of a light color, just to kind of make it rounded, a little bit rounded there. Okay, so this part is starting to dry now, which is good. And so now I'm going to get into the part of this door. It's my center of interest, and it's going to take the most detail I'll do right here. But first I'm going to do the color of the door itself. And so it's light and then the shadowing part. But the shadowing part I can do afterwards. But first I'm going to take this horizon blue, make it the lightest light part. Now it is a little bit more of a kind of a turquoise color blue. So I can add a little bit of the peacock to it. This is peacock next to it and ultramarine right there. And so I can put a little bit of that into it at the same time. And even if this is wet, that's okay, because I'm going to put it thick enough so that it will stop. When something's wet, if you use enough pigment with more water in your brush, you can stop that line. It'll just be a soft edge, and it may be kind of a watermark looking line, but it's okay. You can just put it in there. Here I'm just going to go in here and hard edge. Again, you get your hard edges when your paper is dry. Leave your paper be dry, that's how you get the hard edges. Soft edges you get when you wet the paper first, either with a color in your brush or just plain water. And now see a nice vibrant blue. And you notice how I don't just use one blue, I use all three of them, and I let them float and mix themselves together. It's best when you let the paints mix themselves together. It's so much more natural. It makes it look so much more fresh, the paint. So I've been waiting for a camera. It's actually taken a slow ship from China. I ordered about a month ago so that we can get 2 cameras on this. And I'm going to be using a mixer to be able to actually show you a bunch of different things while I'm painting. But it should be coming up, I think, hopefully this week. But if you want to watch some other videos also from my things, you can go to YouTube and see some of them there. You can still look at these Facebook. Just go to my Facebook page, go down and find the ones that we've done last week. I think this is our 7th one. And also there's a bunch of other artists out there doing these. And I just watched one yesterday from Al Stein. I know that Lynn Pratt does some. Del Popovich is going to be doing one this afternoon at noon time. I also know that let's see, Tom Lynch is going to be doing one at 11 today. I think that one's on YouTube for the club I belong to. I guess I'm the president of, actually. It's the Lakes Region Watercolor Guild, and he's going to do a little demonstration on YouTube. Go to YouTube and type in Tom Lynch. He'll do one at 11. And over here we're going to do a little bit of darker now. It's dry, so I can just put in the shutter part. I can go, when it gets to the part where it's not the shadow, then just put the lighter blue in there. So it still gets your shadow look. So there's my door. See my door? Now that's a little bit brighter blue than this. And see, while it's still wet, if I want to actually put in some lighter color or more vibrant color, I can do that while it's wet. You can just post it in there, right into the whitewash. Now I should have started with the brighter color, and that's probably a color I don't have on my palette right now, because some colors that are that bright, you can't mix those colors. You just have to get the exact color that color is. And actually, I don't have that on my palette. It looks like a compost green, a compost blue, which I don't have on my palette right now. So sometimes you just have to work with the blues that you have. Like you can't get the exact color of that unless you have it on your palette. Same thing with these bougainvilleas. That's a great thing for opera. That's basically the only time I actually use opera. And I mix opera a lot with other things, but the only time I use it by itself without no mixing is when I'm doing these bougainvillea plants. So now I get a few more lights in here for the building. There's looks like a darker part behind here. Now I'm going to start doing details. I've gotten all my big areas done, and the only thing left to do is my details. And so then I just do those. I do have to wait for things to dry when I'm doing my details because I want them hard edged. So don't go back in if it isn't dry and you want the hard edges. It's very hard to stop yourself sometimes, but it's very important that you let it dry if you want hard edges. Otherwise you're going to get those watermarks, and that's always not so good. So here I'm putting kind of like the color of things that are shadowed are the color of what it's shadowed upon. So this building basically is kind of like a what is that, beige? And so it'd just be a darker beige for the shadowing. On the blue door, it'll be a darker blue. On this purple, it'll be a darker purple. That's how you do the shadowing first. You can also use reflected color into those areas, but when you do that, make sure that you first do the color of the object that you're putting it on. Then afterwards, you can put other things. And also to check your wetness of your paper, use the back of your hands. Don't use the front because it has oils on it. Oil in the front of your hands. So just, all right, let's get into this detail now. And I'm gonna go from left to right. I'm just gonna get this all done on this side. And so I'm gonna use my rigger brush. It's a long haired brush. You can use a shorter haired brush, but this actually works better because what it does, it holds a lot more water and paint in the brush. And so you can go longer when you're doing one. So like I can take this all the way up. I don't have to stop. And I can just go through here. Now it's a little wet down here still, so that part is going to bleed out. That's okay. I'm just going to go here. These are vines, and if you don't get it exactly like the photograph, that is absolutely okay. You can do whatever you want. You are the artist. And also, when you're doing these, don't just flick away at it. This is almost like anatomy. This is like an arm going to the shoulder, going to the arm, going to the hand, going to the fingers. They're all connected. I see a lot of people going like this, just to make their branches. No, don't do that. That's no fun. Go in there, just really, they have a kind of anatomy on these branches. Little thing right there. They used to be, when I used to teach at the American Academy of Art, I used to teach evening classes there, and that always bugged me when students would go like this. Put the branches in. Don't do that, because it looks sloppy. Come on, you can do that better, right? So here we go, and we're going to put a little bit of leaves in here now. See, little taps of this brush makes great little leaves. And now spend a little bit more time, because this part is not, this has to show something. This has to show like a leaf or a, whatever those things are there. Some kind of valves for water, maybe. I'm not sure what those things are here. They look like they're different colors too. So I'm just gonna put in little rectangular squares. Don't know what these things are. Somewhere in the Greek islands, they have these things with pipes on them. You fake a lot of stuff in your picture. If you don't know what it is, just, it's not going to do anything that's going to hurt your picture. Just put them in just to give some little interest to your painting. I'm just going to put a little bit of... So then we're just putting a little shadow in here, shadow behind this little potted plant right there. This is detail again. Remember, hard edges, nice colors, nice darks. Get your darks in there. And anytime you put a color down, watch this. See, I put this, even at, I don't care how small a little wash is, you can put reflected color. Like in that, I can float some of this red right here, this red things. Look at that. I'm just going to float it. It's going to bleed over. And then I'm also going to, watch this. I'm going to put a little bit of blue, light blue. Just let it float in there. That's like very opaque color, but it'll come over and it'll look beautiful. Like it's just reflected from the wall over here. And there's some shadows on the wall too from these things, right? I know it's like a shadow in a shadow. That happens because it's like a little bit of light's coming back here to show. I mean, when something's lit up, there's light, right? And so you can even in an area that is in shadow, it can get some reflected light from other parts of the light area, and then also from the shadow area. What is my center of interest on here? My door. I like to call it area of interest because it isn't just an object. It's this whole area. The awning, the door, this little lamp up there. Let's put that in there right now. I like to put out something really dark in there right from the get-go, just so I can see where my darkest dark is going to be. I'm not sure. Yeah, there's a little lamp there, I think. And if there wasn't one in the photograph, I put it in there myself, just because I can. And it looks good, right? You just do what you do. You make things up, you know, you have to make things up sometimes. If there's something that's doesn't look good in a scene, or if you want to add something to it, don't know what this thing is over here, but I'm just gonna put a little detail there, and now it's something. Ooh, there's a little dot there. And that's this, I'm just gonna tape that up. Ooh. And now it's a shadow, see? It's doing it for me. It's creating shadows on its own. So I actually got to put some of those shadows in first before I start doing all this stuff. The shadows come in here, and again, those are kind of the color here is more of a tan, so the shadow is the darker or tan shadows. You can have a little bit of blue in there too. It's reflecting. I like to start with the tan though first, and then afterwards you can put the other colors. This lamp will have a little bit of shadow coming right off of there. These branches back there will throw shadows across this. And you notice I have not used my hair dryer because I'm just working on areas that are dry. I'm just trying to save away from using the hair dryer, because once you use the hair dryer, like I've been explaining every week, is that you're not letting it bleed and letting it get its soft edge. You're forcing it to stop doing its own work. So here we're going to take it a little bit dark in here. I haven't looked up to see if anybody's asking any questions. Ooh, somebody just said, I just noticed that they said that fishing poles on this wall here. Huh, that's pretty interesting. Must have been fishermen living here in this little area. That's a little bit too dark. Just tap a little bit. Again, I'm not sure what these things are over here. Doesn't matter. Just put them in, just for interest. Now there's the lines here for the actual objects. If you ever want to make a line in your work, use your pinky and rest it on something. Like I can use the side of this painting. If I wanted to make these lines straight down like this, I use my pinky to guide my finger. And then I just go like this. See how I can make the line of the shutter? Now, like the door, later on I'll put the lines and the stuff in there. There I can't because well, I guess I could put my finger way over there. But you can just kind of like rest your finger on there and then just go down and just put your finger there. Now, I'm not going to do it yet because it's still damp right there. I am jumping around a little bit because I'm looking for parts that are dry. Normally, when you do that, I don't like you jumping around totally everywhere. Just kind of get one area done and move on from there. I usually like that a little bit better. These bricks on the floorway here, I'm going to use my flat brush, my 1/4 inch flat, because the actual brick or the pavers are actually kind of that shape, right? And so I'm going to do some of them opaque, not opaque. I'm going to make some of them darker, where the lines are light between them, negative painting the mortar. Mortar. Is that the word? And I'm going to go between there. And then some of them I'm going to just do the lines. Like that. And I'm not doing every individual one. That's just too detailed for the floor of this place. It's just a few here. I'm making the lines. Some you make the brick, some you make the lines in between. See that? Here in the light area, I'm going to just do the lines. Now there's my name, which I put in with the masking fluid pen. And it's a Holbein masking fluid pen, because everybody keeps on asking me what that is. And again, you can get it at the VermontArtSupply.com. That's for John there. John is the owner. Here we're going to put a little dark in there, a little dark here, a little reflection from this potted plant against the wall. Now we're going to get a bunch of these nice leaves in here, a lot of different leaves. Let's use the ugly brush. I'm going to show you what this rubber band brush thing does. It's a funny brush. You can just kind of put it in there. You can just tap it down. It makes little dots, basically. You just keep on tapping. You can actually, this is rubber bands, and so you can cut rubber bands and put them on and a little wrap them. You can do the same exact thing. I used to make a bunch of them for my students. I haven't done that in a while, but hopefully maybe I'll do that again soon. I also will be starting to, I just ordered a bunch of kits for beginners. If you're a beginner who has never actually done this before, I'm having kits made with 6 colors, 2 brushes, this pad of paper, it's that Stonehenge pad of paper, a little palette, and just give you, if you want to try it, I'll give you a chance to try it. I don't know how much it's going to cost yet. I'll put it on my website. And I'll probably do those on like a Thursday afternoon, like when it's normally my class goes. And again, that'll be for beginners. These are a little bit more advanced. This is my Saturday class. My Saturday class is a little bit more advanced, so I'm getting a little bit more advanced with these workshops, demos. Darker here again. Now up here, get some darks. See how nice darks in there? You can negative paint around some of these leaves so that this is the color of the leaf, and if you paint around and make it dark, it'll look like the light leaves sticking on front. There you go. And also this gives the awning, by popping the awning out, by making it darker right here in this spot. The lines here. So my door is dry, now I can go in my door and get my hard edge. Now again, use your finger, lay it here where it's dry, and just rest it, and then one brush stroke, see? Down, 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 down. Oops. Don't look up while you're doing it and look at the screen. Thought my head was maybe in the way, because I made a little curve there. Oh well. Here we go with this little lines. And if you want these lines to be skinnier, don't press as hard, and real light, real light. There we go, nice and light. Maybe there's a door handle. Not sure what the door handle looks like, but it's a couple little dots here. Boom, boom, boom. Make those sound effects, it helps. Boom. Boom. Lines. Now this is kind of confusing here because there's no darks and lights, because here it's dark. So I'm going to take my, let's see, a half-inch brush. Let's do our half-inch brush. It's about a half-inch right there. Take a little bit of color. Doesn't matter what color. Just going to go in here and make this a little bit darker. Just to separate that. Then maybe a little line here. This looks like we should use a little line here. This little wall, maybe on the top is a little bit darker. It should be lighter because anything that's on top would be actually lighter. I have to wait for this to dry so I can get this masking fluid off of here. And we're almost done here. Oh, I've done this one a little bit faster than an hour. Normally in my classes I do a painting at the very end of my classes on Saturday morning. Usually it takes me 15 to 20 minutes. It's a little bit different when you're doing these workshops as a demo online. So they take a little bit longer. And if you want to follow along later on, this will be posted. It will stay posted, and I also will then, like tomorrow, put it on YouTube. And you can just rewatch it and try it again if you didn't get it, if it's too fast or you're just watching right now and you want to try it. And the picture and the photo and the sketch is on my Facebook page, so if you want to look for that, that's fine. Alright, I'm going to use my hairdryer here real quick. Got to dry a little bit of this, which I don't like doing, but I got to dry it, sorry. But, somebody asked where I get the masking pen again. It's at vermontartsupply.com. You can get it there. I think they still have it in stock. This is a little bit quieter one. This is actually for a heating tool. Not sure, I think they use this, I'm not sure what they use this for. It gets it a little bit quicker, gets it done. And I'll show you how to, you could have put the red down first, put the masking fluid on top of it, and then later on take it off and it'll have the red underneath it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the masking fluid off, and then afterwards then just take and put a little bit of opera and little reds in those colors afterwards. Now this is the boring part, I don't like usually doing this, but just gotta get it done. Alright, shut that thing off, sorry about that. For any questions here while I'm waiting a little bit here. And to taking the masking fluid off, like I said, there's the pens or the bottle. The masking fluid is in the bottle, it comes, it's brand new stuff. Masking fluid, that comes in the bottle. And I usually tend to use a little rubber brush instead of using a brush that's with bristles. This is a rubber brush. It's a brush where you can just peel it off afterwards and it won't wreck your brush. You don't have to put any soap on it or anything like that. You just kind of draw with it. They make all different kinds of shapes with these rubber brushes. And then with the, of course, the masking fluid pen, it has a little bit of marble in there, and then it also squeezes right here. And then when you pull it off, you squeeze and you just write, basically. And it's got a metal tip on the front, so you can just sit there and write. And I wrote my name on there, which is kind of odd because I wrote it here, because now nothing's going to happen because I didn't put any color there. Should have put it over here where there's a little bit of color, right? Oh well, I'll have to sign it anyways then again later, just to show you a little bit. And again, the tape, I use this new tape that Holbein has. It's called soft tape. It's really, really thin. And as you can see, you can actually see through it. You can actually, that's how thin it is. But it holds down the paper really nicely, and it kind of repels the water, so that's a pretty good thing. Also available at Vermont Art Supply. I think they were out of one. They were out of stock on one of them, but there's like 4 different sizes. There's this big one, this middle one underneath here, on this size, and then there's the, I think, 3/4 inch size, a little bit in between there. So, now I think I talked enough. Now I'm going to show you how to use this. This is called a rubber cement pickup. It's a rectangular rubber piece, and that's the best way of taking this masking fluid off of there, and just rub it across a dry paper. Don't do it while it's wet, because it'll mess everything up. It'll get all in there. All that wet paint will get into this area to try to keep it light. Back and forth here. And I got my whites back. See, I get my whites back. And so then, now some of them will look way too bright, and of course I'll dull them down, because I can't do that area is still wet. Hold on, I'm just going to tap this off a little bit, get it a little bit drier quicker. Also, you can take it off with your finger. See how I just take your finger and just take it right across it. Nope, that's still wet, so you can't take it off when it's wet. So, alright, so these little areas now, these little areas I'm just gonna make with the opera. The only time I use opera by itself is when I'm doing this bougainvillea. I love mixing opera with the orange and stuff. You make some great salmon colors and stuff, but this you can just go in there with nice bright colors. Opera is a very, very bright pink. And these bougainvillea, when you're in the islands, boy, they're super, super bright. So it makes a perfect color for those. Alright, boom, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. Again, make those sounds. Helps it out a little bit. Put a little bit of orange in some of them, a little darker in some of them. This area is a little bit darker, so that's cool. I'm going to show you something that most watercolorists will not let you do, transparent watercolor artists. I like using some opaque colors. See, in this picture, there's a couple light, and I didn't mask those out, only because I want to show you that you can use white with a little bit of color green, and I can just use that and put those leaves right on top of that dark. It's going to be opaque. Yes, it will be opaque, and don't enter into certain shows that don't allow opaques in your work. But some of it looks really cool. Some of it looks really, really awesome if you use some of that opaque colors. I don't use it to kind of, oh, it's masking fluid, hold on. I'll take that off of there first. Now I'll put it on after the masking fluid's off. What was I saying about, what was I talking about? Alright, so real quickly, red. Oh, I was telling you, okay, so now we're going to take, and this is dark, right? So if I take like a color, I have white here, and I take a little bit of green, maybe some yellow. Now this is a very bright, vibrant green with white, and I can just go in there, put some light little leaves in there. I know it's opaque, but it looks cool, right? I mean, it's just a way to enhance your painting. It's not there to correct a mistake or anything, just there to enhance it. And I could have put masking fluid there too, yes, if I wanted to do that and be traditional. But I just put it in there afterwards. It's like, works just as well, it's nice. It kind of looks like gouache, you know, it kind of looks like gouache, but it isn't gouache. It's just light, it's white watercolor. I'm gonna put a couple light colors on top with yellow. It handles like gouache, but it kind of gives it a really neat look. Kind of like that look. But don't enter into a show where they don't allow opaques on there, because it is opaque. It is opaque watercolor. Alright, I think that's almost it, right? Let me just take it off of let me tape off. I guess I can get this masking fluid off of there. It's not going to do anything. Okay. And I'll just write my name there with my regular brush. And actually, I'm going to put it over here with a light color. This is the only area that's still wet. Let me just put a little bit on there, a few more leaves, because I corrected a little bit with my wet hand, and then we'll be done. So we're 10 minutes early, but that's cool. Again, if you want to see it, me do this again, it'll be up there. Oh, it's saved. Let me take the tape off real quick, the gloves off, because it's always sticking to my gloves as I take the tape off. When you're taking tape off of any watercolor, make sure when you pull it off, you don't pull off into the painting. Don't pull it off straight. Pull it away from the painting like this. If you pull it away, even if you do rip the picture with your tape, it will come this way and it won't rip into your painting. So always peel it off this way. Always peel off away from the picture. You don't want to do a whole painting and then take your tape off. And some people don't even use tape, but I do, just to get that little white line around the painting, which is really nice. But take it away, pull it away from the paper. I've so many times taken and ripped it straight up, and you rip right into your painting, and that is the worst. So especially when you do a whole painting and then you ruin it at the very end. Take a tape away from you. All right, last one. I don't purchase my paper from Vermont Art Supply. I'm not sure if they have it. The paper you can get like Cheap Joe's, ASW, Art Supply Warehouse, Jerry's Artorama, Cheap Joe's, Blix. You can get the paper from those companies. And then again, you can get them from pads or you can get them in full sheets. But I think we're good. I think we're good for this week. And look for my website, let's see, what is it, BeckerArt.net. And it'll tell you when I'm going to be doing some beginner classes, super beginner classes. And also, I'm going to be doing a demonstration on black paper too. A black watercolor paper that Stonehenge also puts out. They put out a black watercolor paper. Somebody had asked if I could do a scene like that, and I will. And so just look for that on Facebook or on my website. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you next week. Thanks a lot.